In this video, I'll be answering your questions about cultural and social concerns as it relates to multiple sclerosis. Don't turn away, because that starts right now. Hey! Howdy! Thanks for learning about MS with me, Aaron Boster. I started this YouTube channel to help my own MS clinic patients learn between visits, and it's my hope that through these videos, I can help you learn too. I'm at the Columbus airport about to head out down to sunny Florida, and I have a few extra minutes, and I wanted to answer some of your questions. I've compiled several questions asked over the last few weeks surrounding cultural and social things that really can impact people's lives with MS. Let's jump into the questions. Sarah Jane asks, what's up with all the autoimmune disease books claiming to cure MS by altering diet, taking supplements? Do they just want you to buy their books or meds? Sarah, that is an excellent comment and an excellent point. And I joke sometimes with people that when you have an MS diagnosis, if you're bored and happen to be in the mall, I encourage you to go to the local bookstore and tell them you have MS, and they'll get really excited, and they'll run you over to a section where there'll be a bunch of books all claiming to do things to improve MS. Many of the authors have titles or letters after their names similar to mine, and to the casual reader, you might think they're real. I am very concerned about these type of self-help books, and oftentimes they're not based on good science. I encourage anyone impacted by MS who is considering reading such a book to use their clinical team as a litmus test. Ask the doctor, is this any good? Is this valid? And if you were to purchase such a book and read it, anything that you learn in it, you should vet with your doctor. So if they tell you that doing X and Y will improve things, that's a good question to ask your doc. Hey, is there any data to support this? When I think about gaming out, living your best life, being your most awesome you despite MS, I am 100% on board with people educating themselves and making themselves aware and thinking about out-of-the-box things. But I'm always concerned when someone's going to make a profit off a self-help book. That's my 2 cents. I really appreciate you asking the question. Now let's turn to the next question. Angela asks a very similar question. Watch a YouTube video from 2020 called 21st Century Snake Oil Cons. They talk about the problems of people with chronic illnesses being seduced by these con artists and the things they say. And in a similar fashion, I think that we have to be very, very conscientious and do our fact-checking when we're going to accept some medical education or information, or if we're going to listen to someone who might be thinking outside the box. I think it is a red flag when someone tells you that if you simply follow these instructions, they can cure your chronic condition. I think that it's a red flag if someone tells you that they've done research but it's not been published. In a similar answer to the one that I gave just the question before, I want you to use your clinical care team as your litmus test. If someone is claiming that for a limited time only, for $9.99, if you sign up now, they can cure your MS, I want you to bring that information to your provider and say, what do you think? We have to be very, very cautious. And there's a phenomenon when given a diagnosis of a chronic condition that you seek out answers, and that's a good thing. I just think that we have to make sure that the answers we're receiving are vetted and based in science and reality. Good question, Angela. Thank you for bringing it up. Christina asks, once the family has seen your worst in a relapse, how do we convince them to not treat you like a fragile baby doll? And this is a very real phenomenon. Sometimes families and close circles of friends can start to treat someone impacted by MS like they're a China doll and scared that they're going to fall over and crash. And people are resilient, and people with MS are no different. This has everything to do with education, helping the family understand that during an attack, there's an acute bout of inflammation in the holiest of holies, the supercomputer, and it's short-circuited a neurological function, making it hard to do X or Y. After the inflammation goes away through time and through steroids or what have you, we hope that the neurological deficit gets better. Now, having them understand that can be challenging because they see you and you look really, really sick, and then they see you again and you're looking okay. One of the ways that we can help is by bringing that loved one to the clinic visit with the doctor or with the nurse practitioner or with the physician's assistant so they can participate in the conversation and they can listen. And if you have occasion to bring your loved one with you, share your concern. Ask the doctor to explain to them, hey, can you tell my husband that I'm really okay? Hey, would you let my wife know I'm not going to fall and shatter? That is a really good discussion point to be talking about. I have made videos on this channel which talk about trying to understand invisible illnesses, and it's my hope that some of those videos might also provide solace and help families understand the journey that you're going through. Best of luck, Christina. Let us know how things go, please. H. Goldilocks, which by the way is a cool handle, asks, how do you feel about working with functional medicine physicians in conjunction with neurologists to approach all aspects of treatment for MS? And I do not practice in a vacuum. I want to create a village that surrounds you, and I want to populate that village with the best people that we can find. If we've identified a physician from a different point of view, that's not bad as long as we're collaborating. Now, there are certain things that I think are very important. For example, I'm a firm believer that people impacted by MS do better on a disease-modifying therapy than off. And so as I work with a physician, whether that be a functional medicine physician or somebody else, I certainly would not want to change that aspect of care. But I would be very, very interested in hearing what they have to say, taking into consideration the recommendations, and integrating their concepts and my concepts together to make you the most awesome you possible. It goes back to the importance of communication amongst the villages. And that is very, very true when dealing with different subspecialists. A MS neurologist and a functional medicine doctor is a good example. What's been your experience? Have you seen a functional medicine physician? If so, please share with us what that experience was like in the comments section below. Andrea W. asks, Dr. Boster, question, should I switch to an MS specialist? My general neurologist does not know about cognitive function problems in MS. Now, Andrea, unfortunately, in the United States, only about 20% of people impacted by MS see MS specialists. The vast majority of people impacted by MS here in the U.S. see general neurologists or excellent primary care doctors. I'm biased because I am an MS subspecialist, and given my druthers, I would rather see people impacted by MS because it's what I think about all day long. But the reality is that's not always feasible, and there's a lot of different ways of managing this. One way is to see two neurologists, a general neurologist locally that you see on a routine basis, and a subspecialist MS neurologist maybe once or twice a year. And then those two neurologists can collaborate. That's one way that you can make sure that you're not missing opportunities for clinical trials, that you're not missing opportunities to treat symptoms like cognitive impairment that the general neurologist may or may not feel completely comfortable with. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but again, it comes back to communication. And I'm even thinking about communication between you and your general neurologist. It is fair to say to him or her, hey, I've been learning about cognitive impairments online, and I'm concerned that I may have some. Will you help me sort that out? And it would be my hope that that neurologist would rise to the occasion. Excellent point, Andrea. Thank you. Inga F. asks, the term neuroplasticity is being used a lot lately. And I asked my PT about it today, and she didn't seem to know what I was talking about. Should I find a new therapist? I don't think so. A physical therapist is a ninja at helping someone improve function. It's not as critical that they understand the why. Now, they do understand the why, but it's not as critical that they understand why as much as they understand how. So in other words, if you're having trouble walking, they're going to figure out ways of improving the function of your walking, independent of the cause. Do I think that you need to fire your physical therapist because they're not familiar or comfortable talking about neuroplasticity? No, I don't. That's my 2 cents. I would look for other things in that physical therapist: attentiveness to my needs, willingness to be flexible in the way that we work, and ongoing progress as you improve functionally. Ellie Smith asks, what are red flags to change neurologists? Now that is a really intense question. And I actually have a video that I put out some time ago about when you need to switch neurologists. So I'll make sure to throw a link up above to a card you can click on and check out that video where I go into some depth about when I would think about making a switch. The bottom line is, I think you need to feel listened to. You need to feel like you have a connection with your neurologist and that you're on the same team. And if that's not happening, I think the first order of business is to talk to your neurologist. I want you to check out that video, and I would welcome comments or questions. Leave them down in the section below, and I'll look forward to reading them, and I'll look forward to responding. Thank you for asking. Janine Chapman asks, I'm an RN in transition to become a PA. What do you think about it? Well, Jenny, I think that's freaking awesome. I think it's wonderful. More education, in my opinion, is fantastic. And practicing at the top of your license, what a nurse can do is amazing. What a physician's assistant can do is also amazing, and it's different. And so if you feel like you're ready to make a transition from nursing work to PA work, God bless, that's fantastic. And I'm sure that patients will benefit. Thank you for sharing with us. Tanya from Denmark asks, is it risky to get tattoos if I have MS? I've got a lot of nerve pain, and I don't know if a tattoo would make it worse. Tanya, that's an excellent question. And in fact, I have an entire video about tattoos and multiple sclerosis. In the video, I've taken pictures of patients of mine's tattoos. And so I'll throw a link up above so that you can check that out. To answer your question, it's not dangerous because you have MS, but of course there are some significant concerns that we have to consider about the hygiene and the safety. We don't want to introduce infection. And so check out that video, and if you do get a tattoo, show us a picture of it. I would love to see. TJ says, question, I was diagnosed with MS September 2018, and now it's time for my second MRI for the brain and neck. Is there anything I should do or say to my doctor? I don't think there's anything that you need to do or say as it relates to getting the MRI, except that I think it's really important to get the MRI. Secondly, I think it's important that you and your doctor sit down and look at the MRI. I think it's appropriate for them to show you your brain and show you your cervical spine and to discuss the findings. I always want to share with patients, are there any new or enlarged bright spots? Are there any new enhancing spots? Are there any new or enlarged T1 black holes? And do I appreciate any worsening atrophy? That's the conversation that I like to have. Let us know how things go. Thank you for asking the question. Lindsay asks, at what point should you start to consider other means of income, like Social Security, when you feel like you can't remember or function normally anymore? This is a very important point, working in MS. I have a video about this, and I'll throw a link up above so that you can check that out. But my first line of defense is to evaluate where the functional problems are and to see what we can do to try to ameliorate them. What I mean by that is we might need to do a stent of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech pathology, or cognitive rehab. We may need to do some neuropsychometric testing to truly understand the details of the issues with cognition. After we've done that, the second order of business, in my opinion, is to see if we can come up with accommodations at work. And in many cases, through this path, we can keep someone successfully working and providing for their family. There can be a point in time when this is no longer successful, and if you've done the work of seeing physical therapy, maybe having a functional capacity evaluation, and having neuropsychometric testing, you've already put in place the building blocks to build a case for why you would qualify for Social Security and disability. Excellent question. If you're impacted by MS and you want to up your game, check out this playlist right there. YouTube Analytics thinks that you would adore this video right there, so you might want to check that one out. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Just click that circle with my face on it. Go ahead, click my face. Until my next video or my next live stream or the next time I see you in clinic, this is Aaron Boster saying take care.